Hello everyone and welcome back for Halloween card series number 4 for 2019, and this one is featuring the Sizzix layered jack-o'-lantern die set. So first we're going to work on the background, and it's going to be a blend of some Distress Oxide inks, and I used carved pumpkin, peacock feathers, chipped sapphire, and black soot. I like to go over my colors a couple different times. Once I get them down, then I'll go back through them just to even out the blend and everything. I kind of lost my peacock feathers in there, so really wanted to go back through there and make sure you could see that peacock feathers in there. And at first I wasn't going to add the black soot, but then I decided it needed to be a little bit darker up in the sky, and so I went back and added that black soot. Okay, so this stamp set is by Sweet and Sassy. It's called Serene Silhouettes. I got this earlier this year, so I believe it's still available. I will have everything linked down below. If this one's not available, there's lots of silhouettes like this out there on the market, and I will link a similar one. So I'm just using some VersaFine Onyx Black ink, because this is a new stamp set, and the VersaFine, stamps better with new stamp sets, and it stamps really, really black. And on the Distress Oxide ink blended background, it really works well. I will be trimming this down later, so there is a bit of a border around. Okay, so now I'm moving on to this stencil. It came in the Simon Says Stamp Halloween kit, one of the Halloween kits. It's called Batty. It's just a small stencil. And I'm using the Brutus Monroe Glitter Glaze Glow in the Dark. It also came in the kit. It looks white, but it will dry clear and glittery. And I actually let that dry, and then I do it again on the other side of the sky, so I have a sky full of flying bats. Okay, so here is that Tim Holtz Sizzix layered jack-o'-lantern die set. There's lots of little pieces, so I'm just going through there and sorting them out and trying to figure out what's what. I finally figured out that all these weird little shaped pieces were layered on top of the jack-o'-lantern and were his cheeks and whatnot. So I have this stack of paper. It's from Coordinations, and it's a standable paper. So the core on the inside is a lighter color of what is on the outside. And so I thought this would do well for giving that Tim Holtz grunge, kind of look. And I think for the most part it was pretty successful. There would be a couple of things that I would do differently, so I will point that out when we get to it. This is one of the things actually that I would do differently. I decided I really like the inside color of this paper, and I wanted the little pieces that go around the mouth and the eyes to be that color, but the tear strip on the top that is that color was not wide enough for some of these pieces. So I decided that I would just sand these pieces. What I should have done was sand the big piece first and then cut out, because these little pieces are delicate when you go to try to sand, and I tore a couple of them. Although they glued back together fine when I glued them on the project, and you can't tell where they were broken, and I glued it. But it would have been way easier and way less tedious if I would have just sanded the big piece and then die cut the little pieces out of it. But live and learn. This is the first time I used that die set, so I was not sure of what I wanted to do. Okay, so I sanded all those, and now I'm just poking out all the remaining pieces. And your Tim Holtz craft tool, or whatever craft tool you use, is really good for poking out your pieces. And so here I'm seeing how everything looks together, and is where I'm deciding, I need to ink some things, I need to sand some things, and just seeing how it looks all layered up. So the background, instead of cutting it out of brown or whatever, I just decided to ink over the orange with the oxide ground espresso. And I think that worked pretty well for the most part. And so here I decided to ink these pieces. Now here's where I screwed up. I should have inked the background pieces, and these pieces on top should have been the lighter pieces. So that's the way it should have been done to give it the proper look. Although it still looks good. I'm still happy with the way it looks. But if I do it again, or when I do it again, I will do it in reverse. The background will have the inked, and the little pieces on top will be just the orange. And these I decided needed to be a different color, so I got out some fossilized amber, I believe. And just went over those pieces so they were more yellow to be like that glow of the inside of the pumpkin. And so here I am trying to, rough that up and give it the grunge look with my little emery board there. I liked how that looked. And then I put these pieces on top, and I'm like, oh, it just darkened up. Oh, and it gives you a little piece for the stem. So they really think of everything, and they really give you layers for all the different little areas. And it's really not that hard to put together at all. It's, I think, 10 dies, and it's really not that hard to put together. Not like the Colorize St. Nick. That one is something to put together, but the more you do it, the easier it gets. And I will be having a video coming up on that in my Christmas card series, and I'll have step-by-step pictures to make it easier for you. So looking forward to that. So here, just getting it all layered together. And here's where fitting in these little glow pieces. These were a little tricky to figure out exactly where they go, but I was right where that one was. I just wasn't lining it up correctly. I'm still using this Cosmic Shimmer glue that came in one of the kits, and I like it. The nose of it doesn't clog or anything, so it's a pretty good glue. I don't think it dries quite as fast as the Nuvo Deluxe adhesive, which is really kind of my favorite liquid adhesive, but I think it's pretty good. Okay, so I went inside the mouth and eyes with the Nuvo clear glitter gloss, and now I'm just covering that with glossy accents, and I will set that aside to dry. Put a good coating in there. I really like putting glossy accents over that glitter stuff, whether you use Wink Stella or Spectrum Noir or whatever. It really kind of enhances, I think, the sparkle of that. Okay, so now that's all dry. I think I let it dry overnight. And I'm going to trim down my panel here just to get it a little bit closer. It was a little bigger than 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so I'm just trimming it down to a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, so it will fully cover the front of my card base. And I really love how the bats turned out. They're glittery, and they take on the color of the background, and they give dimension and everything. So I'm really liking that. I have not tested the glow in the darkness. Okay, there was somebody at the door, so I had to stop and deal with that. So here is the transparency grid. I just got that from Simon. I've been wanting it, and every time I order, I keep forgetting. Finally remembered to put that in my shopping cart this time. And I'm going to stamp this Happy Halloween from the Spook Up Some Fun stamp set, also from Simon, that came in their Halloween kit. And I stamped it with the VersaFine Onyx Black and dumped on some clear heat embossing powder and from Wow. And it's super fine detail, so it works really good for sentiments, and just heat emboss that so it has some shine and really stands out. I will add some foam adhesive to the back of my jack-o'-lantern to pop it up off the front for some additional dimension on the card, along with those bats. While I was dealing with the person at the door, I did go into a dark room and check out the glow. It glows awesomely. And so there's also a picture of that at the very end of the video along with the other still shots. So this is pretty much going to finish up the outside of the card. Now for the inside of the card, I used a stencil called, what is it? Just jack-o'-lanterns. And I sponged on some carved pumpkin Distress Oxide ink, and then with some of those, and I'm sorry this is off screen and it's a little hard to see, but you can see me using those long skinny brushes with some darker colors. I think I used Spice Marmalade and Ripe Persimmon to give the little pumpkin some dimension and stuff. There's 2 different size pumpkins on this stencil along with all these different faces, lots of fun faces. And so I just put them right next to each other, overlapping a little bit. So I kind of leave like a lighter little halo around the front one, and then put some darkness. You'll see it when I do move it up here in a minute. Like again, I'm so sorry that I am off screen. But if you're wondering, what do you do with these little skinny brushes that come in that set? Well, this is one of the things you can do. You can add shading in lines, and it really, really worked well. Now, the brushes that I have are not the picket fence or any of those expensive ones. I just went on Amazon and searched for oval makeup brushes, and I found this set. It is a set of, I think, 10 brushes for $10 or $15, and if you're on Amazon Prime, and it's free shipping. So I think they work really well. I'm enjoying using them, and not any problems with them. Okay, so the dogs were going crazy as the tile guys were coming in, which this is finally the last part of the flood renovation project. We're finally getting the tile put back on the front of our master bathroom tub, and then we will be good to go, and I can take all the puppy gates down from around the kitchen and stop having to step over those to get into my kitchen. We've had to have them up so every time a worker comes, we can just put the dogs in the kitchen and not have to worry about them with the workers. Anyway, so that's a side note. Anyway, back to the card. I just used more of that liquid adhesive to glue my card front onto my card base, and that will finish up this card. I so much appreciate you watching, thumbs upping, sharing, and commenting on my videos. It really helps my YouTube channel grow, and that helps me bring more content to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video.